Hi everyone, Peter here from Movement and Performance, and in this video today we're going to be discussing the use of weightlifting in the physical preparation training of non-weightlifting athletes. So before we get into that, we need to first understand what weightlifting is. So essentially, weightlifting is a sport where two lifts are contested, namely the snatch and the clean and jerk. Competitors will perform the snatch and the clean and jerk 3 attempts each, and the highest total weight lifted between those two lifts is the winner in their respective weight category. So why is it that weightlifting exercises are often used in the physical preparation training of other athletes? And this is because primarily we get an explosive triple extension at the top of the second pull. This is going to be important because it can potentially mimic the movements seen in other sports that are required for the successful physical preparation training of other sports, such as jumping, sprinting, and throwing. After this maximum triple extension has occurred, the rest of the movement from the barbell, from the hip to overhead, is going to hardly be useful to the athlete. This is because it is hardly specific to any real sporting movements you see in any sports apart from weightlifting. So how do we use the Olympic weightlifting movements for athletes? So the full lifts, meaning the snatch and the clean and jerk into the bottom squat position, are probably going to be not great options to use for other athletes. This is because most other athletes will struggle with the technical and positional and mobility demands required to get into these positions. This is going to limit the load they can use and also the development of their lifting. We could teach the athletes the full lifts, however, the time it will take to teach this is probably going to be more effort and time than the benefits would be worth. So on the rare occasion that an athlete can get into these bottom positions, maybe they have a background in weightlifting or they're just naturally gifted at the sport, then you could potentially use the full lifts for them. So which variations are appropriate to use for other athletes? So the variations we can use are probably going to be the power variations and the pull variations. So these have less demanding positions and we can still get that explosive triple extension that we're required without the technical and mobility demands. So the variation we use are going to be velocity dependent. So in order from highest velocity and lowest load to highest load and lowest velocity, we have the power snatch, the power clean, the snatch pull, and the clean pull. And depending on what sort of quality we're trying to train, we can choose or select one of those variations. So these variations can also be performed with blocks, and this is going to further reduce the complexity and the technicality of the lifts, while still allowing that most important triple extension that we're after. Essentially, the power variations are exactly the same as the snatch and the clean. However, the power snatch and the power clean do not have the athlete go all the way into the bottom position. A power is defined as the thigh staying above parallel to the ground in the receiving position. So when is it that we want to use the Olympic lifting variations in the physical preparation training of athletes? The most appropriate time is probably going to be in the general phases of training. This is going to allow general full body power to be developed and also to develop general coordination. These qualities may then have transfer and potentiate more specific training means later in the training year. So another reason we might want to use these in the physical preparation training of athletes is when we want to develop power without excessive eccentric loading. So for example, this may be beneficial to athletes who have an injury where they can't do very heavy eccentric training, or injured or athletes who are in season and don't want to load their joints and connective tissue more than they have already during the season. So the best variations to use for these athletes are going to be the pulls, because they can either from the blocks or from the floor, because they can pull the bar, get the triple extension, and basically drop the bar after the key concentric portion has been performed. So the last reason that we might want to use the weightlifting variations in training is going to be due to a lack of other equipment or space. So if we don't have the space or equipment required for other development of power, then what we can do, if we have a barbell, plates, and a platform, we can do some of the Olympic lifting variations. Just a final note, the weightlifting movements are not an essential component of the physical preparation training of athletes. They are essentially a tool that can be used. If you're going to use them, make sure you use them intelligently and rationally, not thoughtlessly. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you got something out of it.